To step 14, which is sanding the ends of part A and B after you've returned from the disc sander. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a sander, a pad sander, 4-inch pad sander, and we're going to start with 120 grit. We're going to have 100, we're going to go from 120, 150 to 220. So there could already be a sanding, it could already have a piece of sandpaper in there. If it looks like that, then you should treat yourself to a new piece. So we're going to start at 120. So depending on what type of sanders you have, we have these ones like this. We have this little lever tool that allows you to take the sandpaper, put it in. It's a little bit tricky, can be done without this lever, but it's easier to do. So we want to have a minimum amount of sandpaper coming out of that little hook thing. Don't know exactly what it's called. Then I lever back like so. The second one is a little bit trickier, but it looks like it's going well for me today. Like so. And the other thing we want to do is try and take any of the slack out of the sandpaper so it doesn't vibrate as much. And now we can plug it in. And you never really know with these things. They might sand away from you, so hold on to it as you plug it in. Good idea to have eye protection and hearing protection if you needed to, and a dust mask, but I won't be using one per day. All right, so so we're going to start with the A parts. So we want to put them into the vise, the bench vise like so. Want to lock it up at a nice high level as possible. And the only thing we're concerned about, notice that they're all taped together. We want to keep them together as long as possible so we don't lose them, as well as we want them all to be the same. So I'm only concerned about sanding the 50 miller radius. So I'm going to use a pencil to lightly make marks on the ends. Remember, we've already been to the disc sander or belt sander, and we've sanded to probably around a 60 or 80 grit. So we're starting with 120, and what we're going to do is we're going to start the sander and so this can take a while because sanding end grain is very difficult to do, especially with sandpaper. So what you want to do is you want to go over these areas. I'm not going to bore you to death, but I want you to understand that you want to keep that sanding pad going and moving it just ever so slightly. You're going to keep going until all of the pencil marks are done. Once you've done that, then you can switch over to 150, repeat steps 3 and 4, lightly mark. And remember, we're only interested in getting up to the point where the radius stops. Switch to 150 once all the pencil lines have been removed. Then you're going to switch to finally 120. Actually, one thing I should have noted is before you switch between the sanding grits, switch over to the part B so you don't have to switch the pad as much. Make sure that you are sanding, keeping the sander going, and we're not concerned with anywhere else on the pieces except for the radiuses. So only doing the radiuses, make sure it's clamped together. Go through each, the 3 grits, 120, 150, 220, and the other way you could do it is to do it by hand if your shop doesn't have a sander, which I feel bad for you, but good luck with that. All right, so that concludes step 13. We'll see you at step 14. Or was this step 14? We'll see you actually at 15.